like and subscribe right now, or you're going to have bad luck for the rest of the week.
We all know no living things like to be poked unnecessarily, and that's even true for trees. Yeah, some trees have evolved ingenious strategies and defenses against uninvited touches from animals, humans, and other trees. From trees with poisonous fruit to ones that shoot seeds, here are 10 trees you need to stay away from. Number 10. Manchineel. The fruit of this particular tree bears a resemblance to common apples and apparently feels and tastes like an apple. But trust me, you don't want to eat this fruit. Acting more like the poison apple from Snow White, the fruit of this tree contains a very potent poison. With its fruit being nicknamed the Little Apple of Death, the tree itself is nicknamed Manzanilla de la Muerte, and it's said that just standing under this tree while it's raining is gonna get you burned. This deadly tree is native to the regions of Florida, Central and South America, Mexico, and more. So a good chunk of the Caribbean coasts. The fruit of this tree contains the compound phorbol, as well as some unknown chemicals that can cause painful burns upon contact with the skin. And of course, very, very painful death upon ingestion. This tree is endangered, and honestly, gonna say it may be a good thing with just how dangerous it can be. Number 9. Coconut tree. I'm sure you weren't expecting this tree to make an appearance on this list, but again, Mother Nature is pretty weird. To many of us, it's known as a harmless coconut tree. In fact, we've all had coconut at some point in our lives. Its water is refreshing and full of nutrients that are good for our bodies, and the meat is also tasty and a great ingredient for cooking. There are so many ways to benefit from coconut milk, coconut oil, and coconut candy. So how come this tree made it on the list? Well, the danger comes when you stand too close to the tree at the wrong time. Each coconut can weigh as much as 1.5 kilos. Now imagine the strength of that weight falling down on you from as high as 20 or even 30 meters high. That's enough to cause a serious concussion and sometimes even death. These trees are along the tropics, and sometimes you'll see signs that warn you against falling coconuts. And still, some people have walked near them, not aware that a falling coconut was going to end their lives. So watch out and stand at a distance. Number 8. Strychnine tree. So you probably thought that strychnine is one of those mysterious substances manufactured in a lab. Come off it for a second, because it isn't. It's an epitome of death produced from a tree which should be approached with caution. This tree species is native to India and Southeast Asia, where locals dread it. It's the source of strychnine, a deadly poison used on animals considered as pests. It's also used to eliminate humans who are considered a nuisance. The first thing that attracts you to this tree is the innocent-looking branches bearing thick leaves and loads of dark dollar-like seeds. These branches house the poison known to have killed many. When the seeds ingested, they pose severe medical complications ranging from a heavy tongue, dizziness, paralysis, muscle cramping, and more. With the level of information about this tree on the internet, it would be foolish not to be vigilant before ingesting the seed. This tree is not all bad news, as it's useful in cancer treatment today. Number 7. Milky mangrove. Mangroves are often considered unique because this species tends to grow near water bodies. But the reality is a lot harsher, as they present a significant threat, which is due to what it produces. The milky mangrove is unique in a few aspects, from its looks to its environment. But it's the deadly ooze it produces and its sap that makes it so interesting. The sap of this tree can cause severe skin blistering irritation and might even cause temporary blindness when brought in contact with the eyes. The tree itself can grow to an impressive 65 feet in height and produces spiked flowers that help produce the sap, with the caustic chemical ready to harm any intruder who comes into contact with it. Number 6. Otholonga tree. The otholonga, also known as the suicide tree, looks very harmless and innocent, and it makes you wonder why someone would name it that. However, when you see the power of the toxic chemicals inside, you realize that the otholonga is a plant you don't want to mess with. It's so toxic that it's been used in India, its native country, as a way to keep intruders away from the form of a hedge around private properties. Although the plant is incredibly toxic, its flavor is not as strong as other plants in the region where it grows. In fact, it was used to murder people by poisoning their meals, and sadly, it's also been used by some to take their own lives. The tree also grows in Madagascar. In the past, during the witch trials, there were many trial by ordeal deaths that involved eating this plant. Number 5. Suicide tree. As the name implies, you'd be doing yourself a disservice if you associate yourself with this tree. Creative writers often draw inspiration from this tree to create dark plots. As to whether it suits the purpose, yes, it does. This seemingly innocent tree is loaded with packs of potent concoctions of chemicals that are deadly to humans. It therefore doesn't surprise anyone that the botanical components are used as an organic and natural means of botanical murder. Number 4. Namibian bottle tree. Next up, we have the Namibian bottle tree. We know most deadly trees look deceptively normal, akin to edible vegetation, or at least typical shade trees in their general appearance, yet the Namibian bottle tree looks less like a tree than a bottle of poisonous grog fit to kill any living thing that drinks it. A tree of the desert, the Namibian bottle tree is a survivor, seeming to devote more of its living bulk to water storage than greenery. The Namibian bottle tree species are so poisonous that extractions from the bizarre-looking desert trees have been used by native Bushman tribes as a poison for hunting arrows. Its branches guarded by fierce thorns, the bottle tree bears its poisonous sap to protect its carefully stored water supply, which would otherwise be raided by thirsty animals ripping into the water-hoarding desert tree. Number 3. Gimpy Gimpy. Oh, that's a bizarre name for a tree, but that's just what the tree is. Bizarre. The Gimpy Gimpy is a tree native to Australia that's known for its stinging nettles that are extremely potent. Most nettles found on trees are irritating at worst, but the nettles of the Gimpy produce a very strong poison that can take down even the heaviest of animals and healthiest of humans out there. This poison can be dangerous even upon skin contact and has actually been sought out for chemical weapons research before. The results of coming into contact with this plant are extreme pain, irritation, itchy spots, hives, and much more. It's even said that the pain will continue for years after first contact, if you survive, that is. One notable case was that of an Australian officer who came into contact with the toxin, and while he did try to bear the pain, it proved to be too much for him, and he took his own life. Number 2. The sandbox tree. Considered one of the most dangerous plants in the world, the sandbox tree isn't suitable for home landscapes or any landscape actually. That being said, it's an interesting plant and one that deserves understanding. A member of the spurge family, the sandbox tree grows 90 to 30 feet, 27.5 to 39.5 meters tall in its native environment. You can easily recognize the tree by its gray bark covered with cone-shaped spikes. Sandbox tree fruit looks like little pumpkins, but they become ticking time bombs once they dry into seed capsules. When fully matured, they explode with a loud bang and fling their hard, flattened seeds at speeds of up to 150 miles or 241.5 kilometers per hour in distances of over 60 feet or 18.5 meters. The shrapnel can seriously injure any person or animal in its path. As bad as this is, the exploding seed pods are the only way that the sandbox tree can inflict harm. If you survive the surprise attack of a sandbox tree and you feel like tasting what the fruit tastes like, please don't. The fruit of the sandbox tree is poisonous, causes vomiting, diarrhea, and cramps if ingested. The tree sap is said to cause an angry red rash, and it can blind you if it gets in your eyes. It's even been used to make poison darts. This is one dangerous tree. Number 1. Bunya pine. Remember what I said earlier, that an average coconut weighs up to 3 pounds? If it could kill as many people in the world today, imagine what a 22-pound seed would do. I'll get to the details in a bit, but being struck to death by a pine cone is similar to someone being flogged to death with a chicken feather. It sounds improbable, but this deadly tree gives us reason to believe that it can happen. In most places where it's located, barricades are used to surround the place to ensure that someone is not squashed to death. What do you think happens to someone when a 22-pound seed from 148 feet in the air falls on their head? These gigantic pine cones pose a lethal threat to anyone present when it falls. Bunya pines are known to fall from the tree when it's time for reproduction. When they do, anyone standing under the tree is as good as gone. In San Francisco, a man filed a lawsuit against a park after a giant cone fell on him and caused brain damage. This plant dates back to the Mesozoic era, and it's a living fossil native to Queensland, Australia. Have you ever seen any of these trees or plants in real life? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like it and share with your friends. Subscribe to our channel for more amazing content.